Greetings, dear viewers. You're watching DXD Tales. We have prepared something special for you today. What if Issei was the son of Tiamat and became Azure dragon god? Your likes and subscriptions keep this channel alive. If you enjoy our content, please show your support. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. Chapter 1, Awakening. The dreams always started the same way, endless blue skies and the sensation of soaring without wings. Issei Hayadu jerked awake, his sheets soaked with sweat despite the cool spring air drifting through his open window. The clock read 5:13 a.m. Again, he muttered, running his hands through his messy brown hair. He'd been having these dreams for weeks now, flying above mountains, breathing fire, feeling unstoppable. They felt real in a way that made waking up disappointing. Issei flopped back onto his pillow, staring at the ceiling. Something felt different today. A weird energy buzzed under his skin, like static electricity but deeper, running through his veins. He flexed his fingers, half expecting to see sparks. Issei. You up yet? You'll be late for school. His mom's voice echoed up the stairs. Yeah, I'm up. He rolled out of bed, shaking off the lingering sensation. Just another Monday at Kuo Academy. Nothing special about today. Boy, was he wrong. I'm telling you, something weird is happening to me, Issei said, leaning against the school fence during lunch break. His friends Matsuda and Motohama barely looked up from their research materials, magazines they definitely shouldn't have on school grounds. Yeah, you're evolving, or whatever, Matsuda snickered. The only thing evolving is my collection. Check this out. Issei ignored whatever perverted thing his friend was about to show him. His attention had drifted across the courtyard to where Rias Gremory walked with her friend Akino. Something about Rias always caught his eye, beyond the obvious reasons teenage boys noticed her. There was something different. Almost like she was glowing with an energy only he could see. Earth to Issei. Motohama waved a hand in front of his face. Stop drooling over Gremory-senpai. Girls like that don't even know guys like us exist. Yeah, Issei muttered, but he couldn't shake the feeling that Rias had glanced his way, a flicker of interest in those striking blue-green eyes. The rest of the school day dragged. During math, Issei's pencil snapped in his grip. During gym, he accidentally jumped so high going for a basketball that everyone stared. Each incident left him feeling more unsettled. His body wasn't acting right. Walking home alone, Issei cut through the park. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the path. He stopped at the central fountain, watching water cascade down stone tiers. Excuse me. Issei turned to find a pretty girl with long black hair and violet eyes. She wore a school uniform he didn't recognize. Sorry to bother you, she said with a shy smile. I'm Yuma Amano. I've seen you pass through here before, and I was wondering, would you go out with me? Warning bells rang in Issei's head. Hot girls didn't just ask random guys out. But looking at her nervous expression, he pushed the thought aside. Maybe his luck was finally changing. Sure, he said, trying to sound cool. That sounds great. Yuma beamed. Wonderful. How about this Sunday? Let's meet right here at noon. As she walked away, Issei couldn't believe his luck. His first date. He completely missed the calculating smile that crossed Yuma's face when she turned away, or the blue-haired woman watching the entire exchange from behind a nearby tree. Sunday arrived bright and clear. Issei spent way too long choosing an outfit before settling on jeans and his nicest button-up shirt. The date was surprisingly normal, a movie, lunch at a cafe, walking around the shopping district. Yuma seemed genuinely interested in him, laughing at his jokes and asking questions about his life. As evening approached, they wandered back to the park where they'd first met. The setting sun painted everything gold and red. I had a really nice time today, Yuma said, stopping by the fountain. Me too, Issei grinned. Maybe we could, Issei-kun, she interrupted, her voice suddenly different. Would you do something for me? Sure, anything. Yuma leaned close, her breath warm against his ear. Would you die for me? Before Issei could process the question, a searing pain erupted in his stomach. Looking down in shock, he saw a glowing purple spear of light protruding from his abdomen, Yuma's hand gripping the other end. Sorry about this, she said, but her voice had changed completely, deeper, cruel. Her appearance transformed, clothes shredding as she grew taller, her eyes harder. Black feathered wings erupted from her back. You seemed like a nice kid, but orders are orders. You have something dangerous inside you that my superiors can't allow to awaken. She yanked the light spear out, and Issei collapsed to his knees, blood spilling between his fingers as he clutched his wound. My real name is Rainier, she said, hovering above him with her wings spread wide. Remember it in whatever afterlife you end up in. As his vision darkened, Issei felt something stirring inside him. Not fear, not anger, something ancient and powerful, clawing to get out. I don't want to die, he gasped, blood bubbling from his lips. The buzzing under his skin from days before returned 1,000-fold, like lightning in his veins. Rainier's eyes widened. What the? A pulse of blue energy erupted from Issei's body, knocking her backward. His wound sizzled, blue scales momentarily flashing across his skin before fading. Impossible, Rainier hissed. You're not just a sacred gear holder, you're enough, fallen one. A new voice rang through the park, imperious and cold. A crimson magic circle appeared, and from it stepped Rias Gremory, her red hair flaming in the dying light. This boy is under my protection. Rainier snarled but backed away. This isn't over, Gremory. Your family can't protect what you don't understand. She vanished in a flurry of black feathers just as Issei lost consciousness, blue energy still crackling around his fingertips. Issei woke with a jolt, expecting pain, but feeling strangely energized. He was in his own bedroom, sunlight streaming through the window. Had it all been a dream? His hand flew to his stomach, no wound, not even a scar. But the memory of the light spear piercing him felt too real. You're awake. Good. Issei nearly fell out of bed. Rias Gremory sat at his desk, wearing the Ko Academy uniform, watching him with curious eyes. What? How? Issei stammered, suddenly very aware he was wearing only boxers. He yanked the sheet up to his chest. Gremory-senpai. What are you doing in my room? Checking on you, she said simply. You had quite the encounter yesterday. Then it wasn't a dream. Yuma really, Rainier, Rias corrected. A fallen angel. And yes, she really tried to kill you. Issei's head spun. Fallen angel. Like, biblical angels gone bad. That's insane. No more insane than what you did. Rias leaned forward. You should have died from that wound, but instead, you healed yourself with power I've never seen before. Blue energy, almost like, she stopped, studying him. What do you know about dragons, Issei-kun? Dragons? Like in fantasy games? Issei rubbed his temples. Look, Gremory-senpai, I don't understand what's happening. Rias stood, brushing imaginary dust from her skirt. I can help you understand, if you'll let me. There's a whole world beyond what humans see, Issei-kun. Devils, angels, fallen angels, yokai, gods from various pantheons, they all exist. I myself am a devil. To demonstrate, black bat-like wings unfurled from her back. Issei's jaw dropped. That's, wow. But what does this have to do with me? Why did Rainier try to kill me? That's what I'd like to find out. Rias retracted her wings. Fallen angels don't typically target random humans unless they possess something special. I thought you might have a sacred gear, a powerful tool created by the biblical God, but what I saw was different. It was draconic energy. The word sent a shiver down Issei's spine. It resonated with something deep inside him, like a tuning fork striking the perfect note. "How did you heal me?" he asked, hand again going to his stomach. "I didn't," Rias said, surprising him. "You were already healing when I found you. I just brought you home and made sure your parents wouldn't worry. As far as they know, you came home late and went straight to bed." Issei tried to process everything. "So what happens now?" "Now," Rias smiled, "you come with me after school to meet my club. We're not really a club, we're my peerage, my devil family. And I think we can help you figure out what you are." Getting through classes that day was impossible. Issei kept replaying Rias's words in his mind, occasionally staring at his hands as if expecting them to turn into claws. Twice during the day, he caught glimpses of a blue-haired woman watching the school from beyond the gates, but when he looked again, she was gone. After final bell, Rias was waiting outside his classroom. "Ready?" she asked. Issei nodded, following her through the old school building to the occult research club room. Inside, 3 other students waited: Akino Himejima, the school's second most popular girl, Kaneko Tuju, a tiny white-haired first year, and Kiba Yuto, the prince charming that girls constantly fawned over. "Everyone, this is Issei Hayadu," Rias announced. "He's something special. Era, what an interesting energy he has," Akino said, circling Issei with a predatory smile. "Not quite devil, not quite human." "What are you, Issei-kun?" "That's what we're trying to figure out," Rias interjected. "Issei, these are my servants, my peerage members. Akino is my queen, Kiba is my knight, and Kaneko is my rook." "He smells like dragon," Kaneko said bluntly, her nose wrinkling. The room went silent. Rias exchanged a significant look with Akino. "Dragon?" Issei repeated. "Like, actual fire-breathing dragons? Those are real too." "Very real," Kiba confirmed. "And very powerful. Most choose to stay hidden in this era." Rias approached Issei, hands raised. "May I? I'd like to examine your energy more closely." When he nodded, she placed her palms on either side of his face. Red magic circles appeared at her fingertips, and Issei felt a gentle probing sensation, like someone leafing through the pages of a book inside his soul. Her eyes flew open. "This isn't just any dragon energy. This is..." The windows exploded inward as a massive force slammed into the old school building. Issei found himself thrown across the room, Kaneko appearing beside him in a flash to shield him from flying glass. "Fallen angels!" Kiba shouted, a sword materializing in his hand. Through the shattered windows, Issei saw Rainier hovering outside, flanked by 3 other winged figures, 2 men and another woman. "Hand over the boy, Gremory," Rainier called. "This doesn't concern devils." Rias stepped forward, crimson energy swirling around her. "You attacked him on my territory. That makes it very much my concern." The tallest male fallen angel laughed. "Your brother isn't here to protect you, princess. We have orders directly from Azazel to eliminate the potential threat." "Azazel would never order the death of an innocent," Akino countered, yellow lightning crackling between her fingers. "Innocent?" Rainier scoffed. "Do you have any idea what that boy really is? What he'll become if allowed to awaken fully?" Something in Issei snapped. The constant feeling of otherness, of not belonging, suddenly made sense. These people knew what he was, were afraid of what he might be, while he remained in the dark about his own identity. "Stop talking about me like I'm not here," he shouted, pushing past Kaneko. "What am I? Tell me." His anger triggered something. Blue energy erupted around him, cracking the floorboards. Scales appeared along his forearms, gleaming azure in the afternoon light. Rainier's eyes widened in fear. "See? It's happening already. He's awakening." "Control yourself, Issei," Rias warned, but he barely heard her. The sensation was indescribable, power rushing through every cell, ancient knowledge scratching at the edges of his consciousness. His fingernails lengthened into claws, teeth sharpening to points. I said, he growled, voice deeper than before, tell me what I am. The fallen angels exchanged nervous glances before the tall one created a massive light spear. Doesn't matter what you are. You'll be dead soon enough. He hurled the spear directly at Issei. Time seemed to slow. Issei saw the weapon coming but felt no fear, only a primal certainty that he was stronger than this pathetic attack. His hand shot up instinctively, catching the light spear. Instead of burning him as it should have, the spear sizzled against his scaled palm before dissolving into particles. Everyone stared in shock. Light weapons don't affect him, the female fallen angel whispered. Just like, enough. Rainier cut her off. Altogether, we can overwhelm him before he fully awakens. All four fallen angels created light spears, launching them simultaneously. Issei braced himself, but Rias jumped in front of him, a red magic shield materializing. Run, Issei, she shouted as the shield strained against the barrage. Instead of running, something ancient took over Issei's body. He inhaled deeply, feeling energy gather in his lungs, compressing into something dangerous. When he exhaled, a blast of blue fire erupted from his mouth, shooting past Rias's shield and engulfing the fallen angels. Rainier screamed, her wings singed as she barely dodged. The others weren't so lucky, catching the full force of the flame. When the fire dissipated, they plummeted to the ground, unconscious but alive. The exertion hit Issei like a truck. He collapsed to his knees, the scales receding, energy draining from his body. Rias knelt beside him, her expression a mixture of concern and awe. What did I just do? Issei panted. Before she could answer, a new presence entered the courtyard below. A woman with long blue hair, wearing a business suit, strolled casually toward the fallen bodies of the angels. Issei recognized her immediately as the woman he'd spotted watching the school. Pathetic, the woman said, nudging one of the fallen angels with her foot. She looked up at the broken window where Issei stood supported by Rias. They never learn. Who is that? Issei whispered. Rias's grip on his arm tightened. Tiamat, she breathed. The Chaos Karma Dragon. Strongest of the Dragon Kings. The blue-haired woman, Tiamat, smiled, revealing teeth too sharp to be human. Hello, son, she called up to Issei. I think it's time we had a talk. The Occult Research Club room fell silent as Tiamat entered, her presence commanding attention despite her human appearance. Only the occasional crackle from the fireplace broke the stillness. You've caused quite the commotion, she said, eyes fixed on Issei. Though I suppose it was inevitable. Issei stared at her, searching her face for any resemblance to himself. She was beautiful in an otherworldly way, with sharp features and eyes that shifted between blue and violet. But more than her appearance, it was her presence that affected him, like standing near a lightning storm, power barely contained. Son, he finally managed. You can't be my mother. My parents are, your adoptive parents, Tiamat corrected. Wonderful humans who raised you as their own when I left you with them 17 years ago. Rias stepped forward. Lady Tiamat, with all due respect, this is devil territory under Gremory protection. You should have informed us of, Tiamat waved a dismissive hand, and Rias's voice simply stopped, though her mouth continued moving for a moment before she realized no sound was coming out. Devils and their protocols, Tiamat sighed. Always so concerned with territory and paperwork. I've been watching my son since before your grandfather was born, little Gremory. I don't need your permission. She released whatever spell she'd cast, and Rias inhaled sharply. Issei is under my protection, Rias insisted, though her voice wavered slightly. Admirable, but unnecessary. Tiamat turned back to Issei. You've begun awakening earlier than I expected. Those fallen angels accelerated the process. Issei's head spun with questions. If you're really a dragon, if I'm really your son, then what am I? Half dragon? Is that even possible? You're not half anything, Tiamat said. You're a full dragon, a dragon god, to be precise, temporarily bound in human form. The room erupted in shocked exclamations. Akino dropped the teacup she was holding, and even stoic Kaniko's eyes widened. A dragon god? Kiba repeated. But there are only two dragon gods, Ophis and Great Red. 3, Tiamat corrected. The Azure dragon god position has been vacant since ancient times. Until now. Issei laughed nervously. This is crazy. I can't be a god. I'm just a normal high school student who gets average grades and likes video games and dreams of flying, Tiamat finished. And has always felt different. And just breathed blue fire that would have killed lesser beings than fallen angels. She approached him slowly, like one might approach a skittish animal. May I show you something? When Issei nodded hesitantly, Tiamat placed her palm against his forehead. Immediately, images flooded his mind, vast mountain ranges, ancient battles between enormous creatures, the sensation of wind beneath massive wings. He saw a younger version of Tiamat in her human form, cradling an infant with unusual blue eyes, tears streaming down her face as she handed the baby to a kind-looking couple. Why? Issei asked when the visions faded. Why give me up? Why hide what I am? To protect you, Tiamat said simply. The supernatural world is full of beings who would destroy or exploit a young dragon god. I needed you to grow up safe, develop a human heart and perspective before your powers awakened. It was the only way to ensure you wouldn't become what the others feared. The others? Other dragons, gods, the various factions, all fear what a new dragon god might mean for the balance of power. Especially one born of my bloodline. Rias interjected, seemingly having recovered her composure. The Chaos Karma dragon bloodline is particularly potent. You're known for your destructive capabilities, Lady Tiamat. Tiamat smiled without warmth. Indeed. Which is why those fallen angels will not be the last to come for Issei. Now that his powers have begun manifesting, every faction will want to control or eliminate him. What about my parents, my adoptive parents? Issei asked suddenly. Are they in danger? I've placed protections around them and your home, Tiamat assured him. But you'll need training to control your awakening powers. The incident today was just the beginning. Issei looked down at his hands, remembering the blue scales, the sensation of fire building in his lungs. Part of him wanted to reject everything, to run home and pretend none of this had happened. But another part, something ancient and powerful, recognized the truth in Tiamat's words. I still don't understand why now, he said. Why are my powers appearing now? Tiamat's expression darkened. Because something is coming. Something that will require the Azure dragon god to awaken fully. Before she could elaborate, a new magical circle appeared in the center of the room, silver rather than the crimson of the Gremory clan. From it emerged a young man with silver hair and a bored expression. Sorry to interrupt the family reunion, he drawled, but I felt a dragon awakening and got curious. His eyes fixed on Issei with predatory interest. So this is what had the fallen angels in such a panic. Valley, Rias said tensely. What are you doing here? Just introducing myself to my new rival. The newcomer approached Issei, completely ignoring Tiamat's warning growl. I'm Vala Lucifer, the White Dragon Emperor. And apparently, you're something even more interesting. Issei felt an immediate, instinctive dislike for this arrogant stranger. Something about Vala set his teeth on edge, like two incompatible energies repelling each other. Vala smiled as if sensing Issei's reaction. Good. You feel it too. The natural opposition between dragons of different lineages. This should be fun. He is not your rival, Tiamat said coldly. My son is far beyond a mere sacred gear wielder. We'll see. Vala turned away dismissively. Once he learns to control his power, we'll find out who's stronger, the artificial white dragon emperor or the natural-born Azure dragon god. He glanced back at Issei. Train hard. I hate disappointments. With that, he vanished back through his magic circle, leaving an uncomfortable silence. Who the hell was that jerk? Issei finally asked. A problem for another day, Tiamat said. Right now, we need to focus on your training before your power destabilizes completely. Rias stepped forward. I can help with that. My peerage has diverse abilities that could assist Issei in controlling his power. Tiamat raised an eyebrow. You're not planning to recruit my son into your devil peerage, are you, Gremory? Because dragon gods cannot be bound by evil pieces. No, Ria said quickly. Just offering our assistance as allies. Issei looked between them, sensing an unspoken tension. Do dragons and devils not get along? It's complicated, Aquino said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Historic rivalries, territorial disputes, the usual supernatural politics. Tiamat shrugged. I have no particular issue with devils. But some among your kind might see my son as a weapon or a threat. I won't allow either perspective. He'll be under the protection of the House of Gremory, Rias insisted. No devil would dare, many would dare, Tiamat cut her off. But we can discuss alliances later. For now, Issei needs to come with me to learn the basics of draconic power control before he accidentally levels this school. Issei felt torn. Part of him wanted to go with this woman who claimed to be his mother, to learn about his true nature. But another part felt loyalty to Rias, who had saved him from Rainier and offered friendship. Can't I learn from both of you, he suggested. Dragon stuff from, Mom, the word felt strange on his tongue, and supernatural world stuff from Rias and the club. Tiamat considered this. A compromise, then. You'll train with me after school 3 days a week. The devils can have you the other days, provided they teach you about the various factions and politics. Rias nodded. Acceptable. And what about his living situation? If he's in danger, he stays with his human parents, Tiamat said firmly. Their love and guidance is what kept him grounded all these years. I won't disrupt that bond. For the first time since this crazy day began, Issei felt relief. Whatever else changed, he wouldn't lose the parents who raised him. So, what now? He asked. Tiamat smiled, a gentler expression than she'd shown so far. Now, you go home. Eat dinner with your parents. Get some sleep. Tomorrow after school, your real education begins. Issei's head was still spinning when he got home. His mom greeted him as usual, completely unaware that her son had discovered he was actually a dragon deity. How was school, sweetie? She asked, stirring something on the stove that smelled amazing. Fine. Normal. Super normal day. Issei winced at how suspicious he sounded. His mom gave him an odd look but didn't press. Dinner's in 20 minutes. Your father's running late. Issei nodded and headed upstairs, collapsing on his bed. He stared at the ceiling, trying to process everything. Dragon god. Blue fire. Supernatural creatures. His mother was one of the most powerful dragons in existence. And apparently, people wanted him dead because of what he might become. Just yesterday, his biggest concern had been getting a girlfriend. His phone buzzed with an unknown number. The text read, "Training begins tomorrow. Bring comfortable clothes. You'll be sore." He saved the number under, Mom, with a surreal feeling. Then another text came in, this one from Rias, Devil Lessons Thursday. Don't worry, we've got your back. Despite everything, Issei smiled. He might be thrown into a world of chaos and danger, but at least he wasn't facing it alone. A sudden prickling sensation made him look toward his window. Outside, perched on a telephone pole, a crow watched him with unnatural focus. As soon as he noticed it, the bird took flight, disappearing into the evening sky. Issei closed his curtains. He had a feeling he was being watched, and not just by fallen angel spies. Every faction would be interested in the awakening of a new dragon god. Issei. Dinner, his mom called from downstairs. Coming, he replied, taking a deep breath. One last normal family dinner before everything changed. Tomorrow, he'd begin learning what it meant to be the Azure dragon god. The next day at school was surreal. Issei sat through classes, taking notes and answering questions as if nothing had changed, while his mind raced with thoughts of dragons and fallen angels. During lunch, he spotted Rias watching him from across the courtyard, a protective gleam in her eye. Several times, he caught Kiba or Kaneko patrolling nearby, clearly keeping guard. It was both comforting and unnerving to have supernatural bodyguards. His friends noticed something was off. "Dude, you're acting weird," Motohama said, adjusting his glasses. "And what happened to that girl you were supposedly dating?" Issei had completely forgotten about his cover story for Yuma/Rainier. It didn't work out." "I knew you were making it up," Matsuda scoffed. "No way a hot chick asked you out." "Whatever." Issei couldn't even muster irritation at their teasing. It seemed so trivial now. After final bell, he found Tiamat waiting outside the school gates, drawing stares from passing students. She'd traded her business suit for casual clothes, jeans and a blue blouse, but still radiated an aura that made people instinctively give her space. "Ready?" she asked as he approached. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere private." She led him to a sleek blue sports car parked nearby. "Get in." Tiamat drove them out of the city, following winding mountain roads until civilization disappeared behind them. They parked at a trailhead and hiked for 20 minutes through dense forest until reaching a clearing surrounded by massive boulders. "This place is warded," Tiamat explained. "No humans will wander by, and magical surveillance can't penetrate the barrier." Issei looked around the empty clearing. "So what now? Do I get a training montage where I wax cars and paint fences?" Tiamat's lips twitched. "You've been watching too many movies. Real training is messier." She stepped back, evaluating him. "First, we need to see what you can do intentionally, rather than in a panic situation." "How do I do that?" "Yesterday just happened. Dragon powers respond to emotion and intent. Think about how you felt when the fallen angels attacked. That surge of power, the need to protect yourself and others." Issei closed his eyes, trying to recapture the feeling. The anger, the frustration at being talked about like an object, the determination to stand his ground. He searched for the well of energy he'd felt building inside him. Nothing happened. "I can't find it," he admitted after several minutes. "You're overthinking." Tiamat circled him slowly. "Dragon magic isn't like devil spells or angel prayers. It's primal, instinctive. It comes from your very essence." She stopped directly in front of him. "Perhaps you need motivation." Without warning, she flicked her wrist, and a bolt of blue energy shot toward him. Issei barely had time to raise his arms before it struck, sending him flying backward into a boulder. "What the hell?" he gasped, struggling to his feet. Nothing felt broken, but his whole body ached. "Defend yourself," Tiamat said calmly, generating another energy bolt. This time when she attacked, Issei dove aside, the energy scorching the ground where he'd stood. "I can't fight you," he protested. "You're like, super powerful and," another bolt, another desperate dodge. "Your enemies won't wait for you to be ready," Tiamat said, her attacks increasing in speed. "Find your power or get hurt. Those are your options." As Issei scrambled to avoid the barrage, frustration built inside him. This was insane. She was his mother, wasn't she supposed to nurture him, not blast him with energy? A bolt grazed his shoulder, and pain lanced through him. Something snapped. The buzzing energy he'd felt before surged through his veins, responding to his anger and fear. Blue scales erupted along his arms, spreading up his neck. "That's it," Tiamat encouraged. "Now channel it. Direct it." Issei raised his hand instinctively, and a wave of blue energy shot from his palm, colliding with Tiamat's next attack. The resulting explosion shook the clearing, flattening grass in a wide radius. Tiamat smiled. "Good. Again." For the next hour, she pushed him relentlessly, forcing him to access and direct his draconic energy. By the time she called a halt, Issei was drenched in sweat, his clothes singed in places, but he could consistently produce blue energy blasts from his hands. "Not bad for a first day," Tiamat said, offering him a water bottle from a backpack she'd brought. "Your control is still weak, but the raw power is impressive." Issei gulped the water gratefully. "Is it always going to be this exhausting?" "No. The more you use your abilities, the easier it will become. Like building muscle memory." She sat on a boulder, gesturing for him to join her. "You have questions? Ask them." There were so many, Issei hardly knew where to start. What exactly is a dragon god? Ria seemed pretty shocked about it. Dragon gods are the pinnacle of draconic evolution, beings of nearly limitless power who embody fundamental aspects of existence. Ophis represents infinity, Great Red represents dreams and illusions. The Azure dragon god represented dominion over water, storms, and life energy, before the position was vacated. Vacated how? Tiamat's expression darkened. The last Azure dragon god was killed during the Great War between the biblical factions. Since then, the power has been dormant, waiting for a worthy successor. Somehow, when I conceived you, that dormant power chose you as its vessel. So my father was human, Tiamat confirmed. A remarkable man I met decades ago. He died before you were born, an accident, nothing supernatural. And you decided to hide me among humans instead of raising me yourself? She sighed, suddenly looking tired despite her ageless appearance. Dragon children are immediately recognized by their aura. Had I kept you, every power-hungry deity and faction leader would have sensed what you were. By binding your powers and placing you with human parents, I gave you a chance at a normal childhood. But now the binding is breaking. Yes. The attack yesterday accelerated the process, but it was always meant to happen eventually. You're reaching the age when young dragons naturally come into their power. Issei stared at his hands, where blue scales still peeked through in patches. Will I turn into a full dragon? Like, with wings and everything? Tiamat smiled. Eventually, you'll be able to shift forms at will. Your true form is much larger than mine, about the size of a commercial airplane, based on the power readings I've been sensing. That's terrifying. It's your birthright. Tiamat's voice softened. I know this is overwhelming. But you're handling it better than I expected. I don't feel like I'm handling it at all, Issei admitted. Yesterday I was normal. Today I'm apparently some super powerful dragon deity that everyone either wants to kill or control. It's a lot. Which is why we'll take it one step at a time. Tiamat stood. For now, focus on the basics, controlling your energy, maintaining your human form when emotional, sensing other supernatural beings around you. And the fallen angels? Will they try again? Almost certainly. But now that I've revealed myself as your mother, they'll be more cautious. Few beings willingly provoke the Chaos Karma Dragon. As if on cue, a distant rumble of thunder echoed across the mountains. Tiamat looked up, her expression sharpening. We have company, she said quietly. Issei followed her gaze but saw nothing except gathering storm clouds. Is that natural weather? No. Tiamat's casual demeanor vanished, replaced by the predatory alertness he'd glimpsed yesterday. Someone's watching us. Testing the wards. A lightning bolt struck one of the boundary stones surrounding the clearing, much closer than natural lightning should hit. The air crackled with ozone. "Who is it?" Issei asked, instinctively moving closer to Tiamat. "Angels," she replied. "Not fallen ones, heaven's forces. Probably a reconnaissance unit." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "This is your first practical lesson. Angels use light-based attacks, similar to fallen angels but typically more powerful. Their weakness is they're bound by strict rules of engagement." Another lightning bolt struck closer, and the air seemed to ripple as something pressed against the invisible ward boundary. "Should we run?" Issei asked. "Dragons don't run," Tiamat said firmly. "We face threats head-on. Besides, these angels aren't here to fight, they're gathering intelligence. Showing fear would be a mistake." She stepped forward, her form shimmering as power gathered around her. When she spoke next, her voice carried across the entire clearing, amplified by magic. "I know you're there, Raphael. Your lightning gives you away." The storm clouds parted, revealing a man hovering above them, or something that appeared manlike, except for the 6 golden wings extending from his back and the halo of pure light surrounding his head. His appearance was beautiful but terrible, power radiating from him in visible waves. "Tiamat," the angel acknowledged, his voice resonating like a perfect chord. "Heaven sends its regards." "Heaven sends its spies, you mean," Tiamat replied coolly. "State your purpose, Archangel, or leave my territory." Raphael's gaze shifted to Issei, who fought the urge to shrink back under that otherworldly scrutiny. "We felt the awakening," the angel said. "Michael sent me to confirm what we sensed, a new dragon god rising. It seems the rumors are true. My son's status is none of heaven's concern," Tiamat said, subtle blue scales appearing along her jawline as her anger rose. "Everything that affects the balance is our concern," Raphael countered. "The last Azure dragon god nearly destroyed the world during the Great War. Heaven has a right to ensure history doesn't repeat itself." Issei found his voice, stepping forward despite Tiamat's warning glance. "I'm not going to destroy anything. I just found out what I am yesterday." Raphael studied him with ancient eyes. "Intentions change, young dragon. Power corrupts. Heaven will be watching your development with great interest." "Is that a threat?" Tiamat growled. "Merely an observation," Raphael said. "For now, heaven will maintain neutrality. But should the Azure dragon's power be misused?" He left the warning hanging. With a final flash of lightning, the archangel vanished, the storm clouds dispersing as if they'd never been. Issei let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "So, angels know about me now too?" "Everyone will know soon enough," Tiamat said grimly. "The supernatural grapevine works quickly. We need to accelerate your training." "But I've barely learned how to make energy blasts." "Which is precisely the problem." Tiamat gathered their things. "You have the power of a god with the control of a novice. That makes you dangerous, to yourself and others." As they hiked back toward the car, Issei felt the weight of his new reality settling on his shoulders. This wasn't just about discovering a cool new ability or secret heritage. This was about becoming something that made even archangels nervous. "Will I be able to go back to my normal life at all?" he asked quietly. Tiamat paused, her expression softening. "Parts of it, yes. School, friends, family, those can continue. But you'll need to accept that normal has a new definition now." Issei nodded, looking back at the clearing where he'd taken his first steps toward becoming what he truly was. Whether he wanted it or not, his path was set. He was the Azure dragon god. And the world was watching. The next few days passed in a blur of training and revelations. Issei split his time between Tiamat's draconic lessons and Rias's devil education. His body ached constantly from pushing his new powers, but he was making progress. By Friday, he could maintain scaled armor over most of his body, generate energy blasts with reasonable accuracy, and sense supernatural beings within a 100-meter radius. It wasn't much for a dragon god, but it was miles beyond what he could do just days ago. "Your progress is impressive," Rias commented during their session in the Occult Research Club room. "Most supernatural beings take months to develop such control." Issei shrugged, trying not to look too pleased with the praise. "Dragon instincts, I guess. A lot of it just feels right, once I figure it out." Aquino poured tea for everyone. "Has Lady Tiamat discussed your role in the greater supernatural world? Dragon gods typically maintain neutrality in faction conflicts." "We haven't gotten that far," Issei admitted. "Mostly she's focused on making sure I don't accidentally blow stuff up." Kiba laughed. "Practical priorities." Rias leaned forward. "Issei, I know this is still new to you, but have you considered what you want your role to be? Even as you train with your mother, you should think about your own path." "What do you mean?" "Dragon gods are independent entities," she explained. "You aren't bound by the same allegiances Tiamat might have. You'll need to decide for yourself where you stand in relation to the various factions." Issei hadn't thought that far ahead. He was still adjusting to the idea of being non-human. "I just want to protect the people I care about," he said finally. "My parents, my friends, you guys." Rias smiled. "That's a good start." But eventually, the door burst open, and a beautiful silver-haired girl rushed in, panic on her face. "President," she exclaimed. "We have a situation." "Gasper. What's wrong?" Rias stood immediately. "It's all over the supernatural networks," the newcomer, apparently named Gasper, said breathlessly. "Someone leaked footage of Issei's transformation during the fallen angel attack. Everyone knows about the new dragon god." Rias paled. "Show me." Gasper produced a tablet, pulling up what looked like a supernatural version of YouTube. The video showed Issei from a distance, blue scales forming, fire erupting from his mouth as he fought the fallen angels. "This is bad," Kiba muttered. "Very bad." Issei felt cold. "Who leaked this?" "Unknown," Gasper replied. "But it's been viewed by representatives of every major faction. The comments are concerning." Issei glanced at the screen, catching snippets. "Another dragon god? The balance is shifting, Tiamat's offspring, potential catastrophe, must be contained before fully awakening. I need to call Tiamat," Rias said, already pulling out her phone. "This changes everything. If every faction knows about Issei, they'll all make moves to either recruit or neutralize him." "Neutralize?" Issei repeated. "You mean kill?" Rias didn't deny it. Before she could make the call, the building shook violently. Outside, a brilliant light flared, followed by multiple magical signatures flaring to life. "We're under attack," Kaneko said simply, moving to the window. In the school courtyard below, at least 20 figures had gathered, some with angel wings, others with the black wings of fallen angels, still others radiating demonic energy. "It's a mixed group," Kiba observed. "Representatives from multiple factions. They're here for Issei," Rias said grimly. "We need to get him out of here." But even as she spoke, a magical barrier shimmered into existence around the school grounds, trapping them inside. "Too late," Aquino said. "They've sealed the perimeter." Rias turned to Issei, her expression grave. "This is happening faster than I anticipated. Are you ready to fight?" Was he? After less than a week of training? Issei thought of how easily Tiamat and Raphael had displayed their power. He wasn't anywhere near their level. But looking at his friends, at Rias and her peerage who had accepted him despite the danger, Issei felt something resolute settling in his chest. "I'm ready," he said, blue energy already beginning to swirl around his hands. "Let's show them why they should be afraid of the Azure Dragon God." Outside, the gathered forces began to advance on the old school building, magic charging in preparation for attack. Inside, Issei and the Occult Research Club prepared to make their stand. The battle for the new dragon god was about to begin. Chapter 2, Chaos. Blood blue energy crackled around Issei's fists as he stood at the window, watching the supernatural forces gather below. Beside him, Rias and her peerage prepared for battle, Akino's lightning dancing between her fingers, Kiba materializing swords, Kaneko cracking her knuckles, and Gasper nervously adjusting his uniform. "There's at least 30 of them now," Kiba reported, peering through the curtains. "Mixed factions. I see devils, fallen angels, even what looks like yokai representatives. Why are they all working together?" Issei asked. "I thought these factions hated each other." "They fear you more than they hate each other," Rias said grimly. "A new dragon god threatens the status quo for everyone. But I haven't done anything." "It's not what you've done," Akino explained, her usual playful demeanor replaced by battle readiness. "It's what you could do. The last Azure dragon god nearly destroyed the world during the Great War." The old school building shuddered as the first magical attack struck the barrier Rias had hastily erected around it. "That won't hold long," she muttered. "We need a plan." Issei felt the dragon power inside him surging in response to the danger, eager for release. But after a week of training with Tiamat, he knew better than to let it flow unchecked. "I could try talking to them," he suggested. "Explain that I'm not a threat." Kaneko gave him a deadpan look. "They won't listen." Another blast rocked the building, this one stronger. Outside, a fallen angel stepped forward. Issei recognized Rainier among the attackers, her face twisted with vindication as she directed others. "I told you he needed to be eliminated," her voice carried through the windows. "Now he's even more dangerous." "We're running out of time," Kiba warned as cracks appeared in Rias's barrier. Issei made a decision. "I'll go out there. Draw them away from the school." He looked at Rias. "You guys escape while they're focused on me." "Absolutely not," Rias snapped. "We stand together." But nothing. You're under the protection of House Gremory. I won't abandon you." The building shook again, dust raining from the ceiling. The barrier was moments from collapsing. Issei closed his eyes, searching for the well of power Tiamat had taught him to access. It responded eagerly, too eagerly. Blue scales erupted across his skin as energy surged through him, stronger than he'd ever felt it. "Whoa," Gasper whispered, staring at him with wide eyes. "Issei," Rias said cautiously, "your power level just spiked dramatically. Are you in control?" Was he? Issei felt the dragon energy pushing against his consciousness, ancient instincts urging him to unleash destruction upon those who threatened him. It would be so easy to give in, to let the dragon take over. "I'm managing," he gritted out, fighting for balance. "But we need to move now." As if on cue, the barrier shattered with a sound like breaking glass. Magical attacks immediately poured through the windows, forcing everyone to duck for cover. "Front doors not an option," Kiba reported, peeking around the corner. "They've surrounded the building." "Then we make our own exit," Issei decided, the dragon power making him bolder. He pointed at the far wall. "Everyone get back." Before Rias could object, Issei unleashed a concentrated blast of blue energy. The wall exploded outward, creating a ragged hole large enough to escape through. "Go," he shouted, already feeling the strain of controlling his power. His vision flashed between normal and enhanced dragon sight, the world occasionally shifting to heat signatures and magical auras. They sprinted through the gap, emerging on the opposite side of the building from where most attackers had gathered. But their escape didn't go unnoticed. Shouts rang out, and magical projectiles streaked toward them. Rias threw up another barrier, deflecting the first wave of attacks. "Head for the trees," she commanded, pointing toward the wooded area at the edge of campus. They ran, Kaneko and Kiba taking flanking positions while Akino provided covering fire with lightning strikes. Issei found himself in the center of their formation, protected despite being arguably the most powerful among them. I should be helping, he protested. You're helping by not losing control, Rias shot back. Your power's still unstable. She was right. Even as they ran, Issei felt his transformation advancing, scales spreading across his face, teeth sharpening to points, fingernails extending into claws. The dragon wanted out, wanted to fight, to dominate. They'd almost reached the tree line when a massive light spear impaled the ground before them, cutting off their escape route. The explosion knocked them backward, scattering the group. Leaving so soon, a silky voice called. A tall, elegant fallen angel with 10 black wings descended from above, blocking their path. Unlike the others, his power felt overwhelming, ancient and refined. Kokobile, Rias gasped, genuine fear in her voice. What are you doing here? Investigating rumors of a new player in our little game. The fallen angel's eyes fixed on Issei, gleaming with interest. So this is Tiamat's offspring. Fascinating. Issei struggled to his feet, the dragon energy inside him reacting violently to this powerful threat. Blue flames leaked from the corners of his mouth as he spoke. Get out of our way. Kokobile laughed, the sound like shattering glass. Such bravado from an infant god. Do you even know what you are, boy? I know enough, Issei growled, fighting to maintain human speech as his transformation progressed. I doubt that. Kokobile created another light spear, this one crackling with power unlike anything Rainier had wielded. The Azure throne has been vacant for millennia for good reason. The last to hold it nearly unmade reality itself. He hurled the spear directly at Issei. Time seemed to slow. Issei saw Rias moving to intercept, too slowly. He raised his hand instinctively, drawing on his dragon power to defend. The light spear struck his palm, and instead of deflecting or dissolving it as he'd intended, Issei's power absorbed it. The conflicting energies sent agony shooting through his arm. He screamed, dropping to one knee as blue and yellow energy fought for dominance within him. Interesting, Kokobile mused. Your power is still developing. You can absorb other energies, but can't process them yet. He generated 2 more spears. Let's see how much you can take before you explode. Aquino stepped forward, lightning crackling. You'll have to go through us first. Gladly. What followed was chaos. Kokobile attacked with blinding speed, his light spears keeping the entire group on the defensive. Despite their combined efforts, it quickly became clear they were outmatched. Kiba took a glancing blow that left his arm hanging uselessly. Kaneko was thrown through a tree by a concussive blast. Even Rias's power of destruction barely slowed the fallen angel leader. And Issei was losing the battle within himself. The absorbed light energy contaminated his dragon power, creating fluctuations he couldn't control. Scales appeared and receded in waves across his body. His vision shifted erratically between human and dragon perception. What's happening to me? He gasped, blue energy leaking from his eyes and mouth. Your power is destabilizing, Rias said, kneeling beside him despite the danger. The light element is poison to dragons. You need to expel it before it tears you apart. How? I don't know. Kokobile laughed, hovering above them with casual superiority. Perhaps I'm doing the world a favor. Better you self-destruct now before fully awakening. He created his largest light spear yet, a javelin of pure white energy that hummed with destructive potential. This will end it. As the spear descended toward them, Issei made a desperate choice. If he couldn't control the conflicting energies within him, perhaps he could direct them outward. Focusing on Kokobile's approaching attack, he released his hold on his power completely. The result was explosive. Blue and yellow energy erupted from Issei in a shockwave, intercepting the light spear and continuing outward. Trees snapped like twigs. The ground cracked beneath him. Everyone, friend and foe alike, was thrown backward by the force. When the dust settled, Issei found himself at the center of a small crater, completely drained. His scales had receded, the dragon power momentarily exhausted by the outburst. Kokobile picked himself up from where he'd been thrown, his elegant appearance now disheveled. Impressive, if uncontrolled. He brushed dust from his coat. But now you're spent, and I'm merely annoyed. He was right. Issei couldn't summon even a flicker of power. Beside him, Rias and the others were in no better shape, wounded and depleted from the battle. Kokobile approached leisurely, light spear in hand. Any last words, almost dragon god? Issei raised his head defiantly. Yeah. You should have checked the weather forecast. What? The sky above them, previously clear, suddenly darkened. Storm clouds materialized with unnatural speed, swirling into a vortex centered directly above Kuo Academy. Thunder rumbled with such force that the ground vibrated. Kokobile's confidence faltered. No. She wouldn't dare interfere so openly. She would for her son, Issei said, a grin spreading across his face despite his exhaustion. A massive bolt of blue lightning struck the ground between Issei and Kokobile, temporarily blinding everyone. When vision returned, Tiamat stood there in human form, but the air around her rippled with barely contained power. Kokobile, she said, her voice deceptively calm. You appear to be threatening my child. The fallen angel leader took an involuntary step backward. Tiamat. This doesn't concern you. The boy represents a threat to the balance. The only threat to balance I see is a fallen angel who's forgotten his place in the hierarchy. Blue scales shimmered across Tiamat's skin as her anger visibly grew. You dare attack my son? On my territory? Your territory? Kokobile scoffed, though Issei noted he kept a prudent distance. This is Gremory land. Every place my child resides is my territory. The storm above intensified, lightning striking in a perimeter around them. And you have trespassed. Throughout the confrontation, the other attackers had been gathering, emboldened by numbers. Now dozens of supernatural beings surrounded them, creating a tense standoff. Tiamat glanced around, seeming almost bored by the show of force. Is this really the hill you all want to die on? Attacking the son of the Chaos Karma Dragon? A devil in elaborate clothing stepped forward. We mean no disrespect, Lady Tiamat. But a new dragon god upsets the careful balance we've maintained since the Great War. The underworld cannot ignore such a development. Neither can heaven, added an angel with 4 wings. The Azure dragon god's power nearly destroyed 3 realms last time. Tiamat's eyes narrowed. So your solution is to attack a 17-year-old boy who discovered his heritage less than a week ago? Before he's even fully awakened or chosen his path. Her voice dropped dangerously. Perhaps I should remind you why they call me the Chaos Karma Dragon. The air pressure changed suddenly, making ears pop. Tiamat's human form blurred, expanding outward as she partially released her true form. While still mostly human-shaped, she grew to twice her normal height, blue scales covering her entirely, wings and a tail materializing as her face elongated into a draconic muzzle. The display of power sent many of the gathered forces scrambling backward. Even Kokobile paled. My son will awaken at his own pace, under my guidance, Tiamat growled, her voice resonating with draconic power. Any faction that interferes will face my wrath directly. Is that understood? No one argued. Good. She returned to her fully human appearance, though the aura of danger remained. Now leave. All of you. The gathered forces dispersed quickly, magical circles flaring as they teleported away. Kokobile was the last to go, his eyes lingering on Issei with a mixture of frustration and calculation before he too vanished. Once they were alone, Tiamat knelt beside Issei. That was extremely foolish, she said, but her touch was gentle as she examined him for injuries. You're not ready to face beings of that caliber. Didn't have much choice, Issei muttered, wincing as she probed a particularly sore spot. They attacked the school. I felt your power spike from across the city. Tiamat's expression was concerned. You absorbed light energy, didn't you? Directly into your draconic core. Didn't mean to. It just happened. It's a miracle you didn't explode. She helped him to his feet. Once your dragon power fully awakens, you'll be able to consume and convert other energy types. But right now, it's like pouring gasoline on a campfire. Rias approached cautiously, supporting a limping Kiba. Lady Tiamat, thank you for your intervention. We were outmatched. Tiamat's expression cooled. This is precisely why I was hesitant about leaving Issei in devil company. Your presence draws attention and puts him at risk. With respect, Rias countered, they came for Issei specifically. They'd have found him regardless of his association with us. Perhaps. But your peerage lacks the strength to protect him. The criticism clearly stung Rias, but she didn't back down. We did our best. And we're the only ones who treated Issei like a person, not a weapon or a threat, from the beginning. Tiamat studied her for a long moment. Fair point, she conceded finally. But today's events make one thing clear, Issei's training needs to accelerate. The factions are moving faster than I anticipated. What did Kokabeel mean about the last Azure Dragon God? Issei asked, the fallen angel's words still echoing in his mind. Tiamat sighed. That's a conversation for somewhere more private. For now, we need to get all of you healed and somewhere safe. The Occult Research Club room is compromised, Aquino said, supporting an exhausted Gasper. They know to look for us there. My house, Issei suggested. My parents are visiting relatives this weekend. Tiamat nodded. The wards I placed there should hold against further attacks. At least long enough for us to regroup. With her help, they managed to transport everyone to Issei's home, narrowly avoiding the human police and emergency services now responding to the earthquake at Kuo Academy. Issei's living room had never been so crowded with supernatural beings. Rias and her peerage occupied the couch and chairs while Tiamat paced the perimeter, occasionally reinforcing the protective wards with bursts of blue energy. The attacks will continue, she said grimly. Today was just the first wave. Kokabeel will gather stronger allies, and other factions will make their moves. Why is everyone so afraid? Issei asked, watching Aquino heal Kiba's injuries with a gentle green light. I've barely figured out how to maintain my scales. I'm not exactly threatening anybody. It's not what you are now, Rias explained. It's what you'll become. Dragon gods exist outside the normal power structure. They answer to no one. Which makes them unpredictable, Tiamat added. And the supernatural world hates unpredictability. Kaneko, her wounds already mostly healed thanks to her rook abilities, spoke up. They mentioned the last Azure Dragon God. Said he nearly destroyed everything. All eyes turned to Tiamat, who stopped her pacing with a sigh. I suppose you need to know this history sooner rather than later. She sat across from Issei, her expression grave. The Azure Dragon God position is different from the other two. While Ophis represents infinity and Great Red represents dreams, the Azure Dragon God represents balance between chaos and order. That doesn't sound so bad, Issei said. It isn't, inherently. But the last holder of the title, Mizuchi, came to believe that the only true balance was to reset creation entirely. Reset, as in destroy everything? Gasper squeaked. Essentially, Tiamat confirmed. During the Great War between angels, fallen angels, and devils, Mizuchi saw an opportunity. With the biblical God and the original Satans weakened from fighting each other, he attempted to unmake reality and rebuild it according to his vision. What stopped him? Kiba asked. An alliance of necessity. The biblical God, the Satans, and several other divine beings joined forces against him. The battle devastated multiple realms. In the end, Mizuchi was destroyed, but not before the biblical God was fatally wounded. Issei stared at her. So the god from the Bible is dead? Because of the last Azure dragon god? Yes. Which is why heaven watches your developments so closely. You inherit not only the power but the complicated legacy of your predecessor. The weight of this revelation settled over the room. Issei felt a newfound understanding of why everyone feared him. He was the potential successor to a being that had killed God himself. But I'm not Mizuchi, he said finally. I don't want to reset anything. I just want to protect the people I care about. Intentions change as power grows, Tiamat said quietly. Mizuchi began with noble purposes too. So what happens now? Rias asked. The factions know about Issei. They've seen a glimpse of his power. They won't just back off because you scared them once. No, they won't. Tiamat rose again, her energy briefly flaring with her agitation. Which is why we need allies. Powerful ones. Do you have someone in mind? Aquino asked. Several possibilities. There are factions that would benefit from an alliance with a new dragon god, the Norse, the Yukai, even certain devil houses that prefer autonomy. My brother might help, Rias offered. Surzek's Lucifer has significant influence in the underworld. Tiamat's expression remained neutral. Perhaps. Though I'm hesitant to involve the current Satan regime too directly. Their predecessors weren't exactly dragon-friendly. Issei had been quiet, processing everything he'd learned. Finally, he spoke up. There's something else, isn't there? Something you're not telling me. Tiamat gave him a sharp look. What makes you say that? Just a feeling. Everyone's too interested in me, too quickly. It's like they all know something I don't. For the first time since he'd met her, Tiamat seemed uncomfortable. She exchanged a glance with Rias, who nodded slightly. There is a prophecy, Tiamat admitted reluctantly. One that's been circulating in draconic circles for centuries. A prophecy? About me? Not you specifically. But about the next Azure dragon god. She closed her eyes, reciting from memory, when chaos blooms and order fails, the Azure throne will find its heir. Born of storm and human heart, the dragon god shall rise once more. Neither destroyer nor preserver be, but bridge between the ancient three. The trinity of dragons complete, when Azure blood flows free. Silence followed the recitation. The ancient three? Issei finally asked. Ophis, Great Red, and the Azure dragon god, Rias explained. Together, they form the dragon trinity, the three most powerful draconic entities in existence. The prophecy suggests you won't follow Mizuchi's path, Tiamat added. But rather create a new role, a bridge between Ophis's endless hunger and Great Red's boundless creation. But what does it mean by, when Azure blood flows free? Aquino asked. Tiamat's expression darkened. That's the part that concerns everyone. It could mean many things, your power fully awakening, your blood being spilled, or something else entirely. Prophecies are deliberately vague. Great, Issei muttered. So now I've got a cryptic prophecy hanging over me too. Prophecies aren't destinies, Rias said firmly. They're possibilities, shaped by choices. She's right, Tiamat agreed. Which is why your training is so crucial. The more control you have over your power, the more agency you have over your fate. Before the conversation could continue, a familiar pressure descended on the house. Tiamat stiffened, her eyes darting to the ceiling. Someone's testing the wards, she said quietly. Someone powerful. Kokabeel again? Kiba asked, materializing a sword. No. Different signature. Tiamat moved to the window, peering through the curtains. It's, I should have expected this. What? Issei joined her at the window but saw nothing unusual outside. Your awakening has attracted another interested party. She didn't sound worried, merely resigned. One even I can't simply chase away. As if on cue, the front door opened without anyone touching it. Through it walked a young girl with gothic Lolita clothing and expressionless eyes. Despite her small stature, the power radiating from her made everyone in the room, even Tiamat, tense up. "Ophis," Tiamat acknowledged with a respectful nod. "This is unexpected." "Is it?" the girl replied, her voice oddly flat. "I felt the Azure power stirring. I came to see." Her black eyes fixed on Issei with unnerving intensity. "So. You are the new one." Issei felt like a bug under a microscope. This childlike being radiated more power than anything he'd ever sensed, more than Kokobile, more even than Tiamat. It pressed against his dragon senses like an infinite weight. "Your Ophis," he managed. "The infinite dragon god?" She nodded once. "I am Ouroboros. The infinite. The beginning and end." She tilted her head, studying him. "You are incomplete. Fractured. The Azure power sleeps still within you." "He's still awakening," Tiamat explained. The process was interrupted. Interrupted by fear. Ophis approached Issei, ignoring everyone else in the room. They fear what they cannot control. As they should. Up close, Issei realized Ophis wasn't a young girl at all. Something ancient looked out through those eyes, something that had seen the birth and death of stars. "Why are you here?" he asked. "Curiosity. It has been long since the Trinity was complete." She reached out, placing a small hand against his chest. "The void within me recognizes the chaos within you. Different. Opposite. Necessary." The touch sent a jolt through Issei's entire being. His dormant dragon power responded instantly, blue scales erupting across his skin as energy surged. "Careful," Tiamat warned sharply. "His control is still developing." Ophis ignored her, maintaining contact. "The seal within you is artificial. Placed to slow your awakening." "Interesting. Seal." Issei looked to Tiamat. "What's she talking about?" Tiamat's expression was carefully neutral. "A protective measure. To ensure your power developed gradually rather than all at once." "You mean you've been holding me back?" Anger flared in Issei, the dragon energy responding to his emotion. "While I was getting attacked by fallen angels and devils, you had my power locked away." "For your protection," Tiamat insisted. "Full awakening without proper training would have destroyed you from within." Ophis withdrew her hand. "The seal weakens. Soon it will break entirely." She turned to Tiamat. "The others move against him already. Chaos Brigade gathers. The old gods stir." "Chaos Brigade?" Rias interjected, her expression alarmed. "The terrorist organization. They seek change through destruction," Ophis confirmed. "A new dragon god represents change they do not control." "Great," Issei muttered. "More enemies I didn't ask for." Ophis returned her attention to him. "You have choices to make, Azure One. Allies to gather. Enemies to face." She started toward the door. "I will watch your progress with interest." "Wait," Issei called. "That's it? You just came to look at me and leave?" Ophis paused. "What did you expect?" "I don't know. Advice maybe? You're the only other dragon god around." A flicker of something, amusement, perhaps, crossed her expressionless face. "Very well. Advice, do not fight your nature. The Azure power seeks balance through action. Neither stagnation nor chaos, but constant adjustment. This is your inheritance." With that cryptic statement, she vanished as suddenly as she'd appeared, leaving a lingering sensation of infinite space in her wake. "Well," Aquino broke the silence, "that was certainly interesting." "Ophis doesn't typically involve herself in anything," Tiamat said, sounding troubled. "Her appearance suggests the situation is more significant than even I realized." Issei was still processing what Ophis had revealed. "You sealed my power," he said to Tiamat, his voice carefully controlled. "Were you ever going to tell me?" "Eventually, yes. When you were ready to understand why it was necessary." "And when would that be?" "After I got killed because I couldn't defend myself properly." "Issei," Rias interjected, "try to see it from Lady Tiamat's perspective. Dragon God power is, I don't need you defending her," Issei snapped, his anger bleeding through. Blue energy crackled around him as his control slipped. "I'm tired of everyone making decisions about my life without consulting me." "Your anger is justified," Tiamat said quietly. "But also dangerous. Look at your hands." Issei glanced down to find his hands completely transformed, scaled, clawed, radiating energy that was beginning to scorch the carpet beneath him. "This is why the seal was necessary," Tiamat continued. "Raw emotion triggers transformation. Without control, you'd have killed your human parents the first time you got angry as a child." The blunt truth of that statement cooled Issei's rage somewhat. He took a deep breath, focusing on pulling the energy back as Tiamat had taught him. The scales receded slowly. "I understand the reasoning," he said finally. "But I don't like being kept in the dark about my own body." "Fair enough," Tiamat conceded. "From now on, complete transparency. No more secrets. Starting with removing this seal. If everyone's coming after me, I need full access to my power." Tiamat shook her head. "It's not that simple. The seal is integrated with your very being. Removing it abruptly would be like removing training wheels from a bicycle while riding downhill at top speed." "Then what do you suggest?" "Because right now, I'm halfway between human and dragon, with everyone from fallen angels to terrorists gunning for me." "We accelerate your training," Tiamat said. "And gradually weaken the seal as your control improves. It's the safest approach." Rias cleared her throat. "My family has access to some of the best magical trainers in the underworld. They could help. And my brother is quite knowledgeable about sacred energy," Aquino added. "As a fallen angel leader, he might have insights on controlling mixed power types." Issei looked between them, feeling a strange mix of frustration and gratitude. Despite everything, these people were trying to help him navigate his new reality. "Fine," he said finally. "Accelerated training it is. But I want honest updates on this seal situation. If I'm in danger because it's holding back power I need, I want to know." Tiamat nodded. "Agreed." As the tension in the room eased, a new magical circle appeared on the floor, silver, with an intricate pattern Issei didn't recognize. "Speaking of people gunning for you," Kiba muttered. From the circle emerged the silver-haired young man Issei had met briefly before, Vala Lucifer, the White Dragon Emperor. "Sorry to intrude," Vala said, though he didn't sound sorry at all. "I felt Ophis's presence here. Quite the house party you're having." "What do you want, Vali?" Rias asked coldly. "Just checking on my future opponent." Vala's eyes fixed on Issei, calculating and intense. "I heard you had quite the scuffle with Kokobile today. Disappointing that you needed mommy to bail you out." Issei bristled. "I was doing fine until he started throwing light spears around." "Fine isn't good enough for someone claiming the Azure Dragon God title." Vala circled Issei slowly, evaluating him. "You're still weak. Barely accessing a fraction of your potential." "The seal," Tiamat began. "Is an excuse," Vala cut her off. "A true dragon breaks through limitations. Forces evolution through conflict." He stopped directly in front of Issei. "You want to know why everyone's so interested in you? Because the Azure Dragon God is prophesied to tip the balance of power. Either toward Ophis and infinite nothingness, or toward Great Red and endless creation. Or toward a new balance entirely," Tiamat corrected sharply. Valley shrugged. "Perhaps. But not if he stays coddled like this." He poked Issei's chest provocatively. You need real combat experience. Real enemies pushing you to your limits. Is that an offer? Issei asked, feeling his dragon instincts rise in response to the challenge. Valis smiled, a predatory expression. It could be. My divine dividing against your Azure powers. The White Dragon Emperor versus the Azure Dragon God. Has a nice ring to it. Issei is not ready for that kind of battle, Rias interjected. Exactly my point. Valid turned toward the door. When you decide you're tired of training wheels, find me. I'll give you the battle that will either awaken your true power or kill you trying. Such encouragement, Aquino said sarcastically. Valley paused at the threshold. One more thing. Kokabeel isn't finished with you. He's gathering forces for another attack, something bigger than today's skirmish. Why tell us this? Tiamat asked suspiciously. Because I want Issei alive and strong enough to fight me properly. Vala's expression turned serious. Kokabeel plans to force the Azure blood to flow free, his interpretation of the prophecy. He believes killing the heir before full awakening will prevent the Trinity's completion. With that warning, he disappeared through another magic circle, leaving them with yet another threat to consider. Charming fellow, Kiba remarked dryly. He's dangerous, Tiamat warned. The White Dragon Emperor's power is specifically designed to counter other dragons. Don't underestimate him. Issei was still processing Vala's warning. So Kokabeel is planning something bigger. Like what? Nothing good, Rias said grimly. If he's interpreting that prophecy line literally, he might believe spilling your blood will prevent the Azure Dragon God from fully awakening. Which is stupid, Tiamat added. The power would simply seek another suitable vessel. But fallen angels have always been dramatic. Kaneko, who had been quiet throughout most exchanges, suddenly spoke up. School tomorrow. What do we do? The mundane concern seemed almost comical after discussions of prophecies and dragon gods, but it was a valid point. Tomorrow was Monday, back to classes and homework and pretending to be normal teenagers. I've been thinking about that, Rias said. After today's attack, we can't risk Issei being in public without protection. I'm not hiding, Issei stated firmly. I've still got a life to live. Friends who don't know any of this. Parents who expect me to graduate. No one's suggesting you hide, Tiamat assured him. But precautions are necessary. I'll strengthen the wards around the school and your home. And, she hesitated, I might have a more direct solution as well. What kind of solution? Issei asked suspiciously. I could enroll as a teacher at Kuo Academy. Keep watch over you directly while maintaining my human cover. The idea of his dragon mother as a school teacher was so absurd that Issei actually laughed. You? A teacher? Teaching what exactly? Advanced Destruction Techniques 101. Tiamat looked offended. I've accumulated quite a lot of knowledge over the millennia, thank you very much. I'd make an excellent literature professor. That's, actually not a bad idea, Rias admitted. Having Lady Tiamat on campus would be a powerful deterrent against further attacks. And it would give us cover for your training sessions, Aquino added. You could claim to be getting extra tutoring. Issei could see he was being outvoted. Fine. But please try not to embarrass me. No parent-teacher conferences where you breathe fire on my math teacher for giving me a bad grade. I would never, Tiamat said, with such exaggerated dignity that everyone laughed, momentarily lightening the mood. As the discussion continued into practical arrangements, Issei found himself watching Tiamat interact with Rias and her peerage. Despite the clear power difference, there was a growing rapport between them, a tentative alliance forming around the shared goal of keeping him safe. It was strange to think that a week ago, his biggest concern had been passing his history exam. Now he was at the center of supernatural politics, with two dragon gods taking personal interest in his development, and enemies plotting his destruction. Yet amid all the chaos, something felt right about this new reality. The dragon within him, even partially sealed, responded to these challenges with anticipation rather than fear. Perhaps that was the Azure dragon god's true nature, facing chaos and finding balance within it. Tomorrow would bring new dangers, but for tonight, surrounded by his growing circle of protectors, Issei allowed himself to believe they might actually pull this off. Monday morning arrived with deceptive normalcy. Issei's parents had returned late the previous night, completely unaware of the weekend's supernatural drama thanks to Tiamat's memory manipulation. They chatted about their trip over breakfast, commenting on how responsible Issei had been in keeping the house clean. If they noticed the slightly scorched carpet in the living room or the new crack in the kitchen counter, from when Kaneko had accidentally slammed the glass down too hard, they didn't mention it. "Oh, I forgot to tell you," his mother said as Issei was heading out the door. "The school called yesterday about a new literature teacher starting today. They said she specifically requested you for the advanced program." "Really?" Issei feigned surprise. "That's weird." "Not at all. We've always known you were special." His mother beamed proudly. "Though I didn't realize you were so interested in literature." "Hidden talents," Issei mumbled, imagining Tiamat using her draconic powers to hack the school system. "Gotta run or I'll be late." Outside, he found Rias waiting for him at the corner, a new development that would certainly get the school rumor mill spinning. "Good morning," she greeted him. "Sleep well?" "As well as can be expected after learning there's a terrorist organization and a fallen angel leader plotting to kill me." He fell into step beside her. "You didn't have to walk me to school." "I wanted to," she said simply. "Besides, we need to coordinate. Aquino set up additional barriers around the campus perimeter overnight, and Kaneko will be patrolling during lunch periods. You guys are really going all out on the bodyguard thing. After yesterday?" "Absolutely." Rias's expression grew serious. "Vala's warning about Kokobile planning something bigger has me concerned." "You believe him?" "Oddly enough, yes. Valley may be arrogant and antagonistic, but he seems genuinely interested in fighting you at full strength. That gives his warning credibility." They walked in comfortable silence for a while, the morning sun warm on their faces. Despite everything, it felt good to be doing something normal like walking to school. "Can I ask you something?" Issei finally said. "Of course. Why are you helping me?" "I mean, really helping me, not just as devil territory stuff. You and your peerage could have backed off after Tiamat showed up. Let this be a dragon problem." Rias considered the question seriously. Initially, it was curiosity. Then strategic interest, having a dragon god as an ally would benefit House Gremory significantly. She smiled slightly. "But now? I genuinely like you, Issei. You're faced with an impossible situation and responding with courage and determination. That deserves support." Something warm that had nothing to do with dragon energy flickered in Issei's chest. "Thanks. That means a lot. Besides," she added with a teasing smile, "how often does one get to befriend a dragon deity? I'm collecting unique friends." "Is that what we are? Friends?" Rias glanced at him, something unreadable flickering in her eyes. "For now," she said enigmatically. Before Issei could ask what she meant, they arrived at the school gates, where an unusual sight greeted them. Students were clustered around the entrance, whispering excitedly and pointing toward a woman speaking with the principal. Tiamat had arrived for her first day of teaching, and she'd made quite an impression. Her human form was stunning as always, but she'd adopted a professional look, hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail, rectangular glasses perched on her nose, a conservative but flattering blue suit. She looked every inch the sophisticated literature professor. "Your mother certainly knows how to make an entrance," Rias murmured. Indeed, male students were openly staring, while several teachers hovered nearby with transparent attempts to introduce themselves. "This is going to be a disaster," Issei groaned. Tiamat spotted them and offered a small, professional nod, the barest acknowledgement appropriate for a teacher seeing her new student. But Issei caught the protective once-over she gave him, checking for any signs of trouble. The school day proceeded with surprising normalcy, except for the buzz about the beautiful new literature teacher. By lunchtime, rumors were flying. She was a former model, a published author, secretly royalty from a small European country. Issei's friends were particularly enthralled. "Have you seen the new lit teacher?" Matsuda gushed during lunch. "Total babe. 10 out of 10. Those legs go all the way up," Motohama agreed, miming an hourglass figure. "And did you see how she looks at the books? Like she wants to devour them. So intense." Issei stared at his food, trying not to imagine what Tiamat would do if she heard them objectifying her. "Probably turn them into charcoal. You have her class next period, right?" Matsuda continued, oblivious to Issei's discomfort. "Put in a good word for me." "She's a teacher," Issei reminded him. "And like 10 years older than us. More like 10,000, but who was counting?" "Age is just a number when you're in love," Motohama declared dramatically. Issei was saved from further discussion by the arrival of Kaneko, who rarely approached him during lunch. "Gremory-senpai wants to see you," she said in her typical monotone. "Club business." His friend's eyes widened. "Club business? With Ria-senpai?" Matsuda clutched his heart. "Issei, you lucky bastard." "It's not like that," Issei protested, gathering his things. "Just, club stuff." Kaneko led him away from the cafeteria toward a secluded area behind the gym. Instead of Rias, however, he found Tiamat waiting, her expression grim. "We have a problem," she said without preamble. "What's wrong?" "I've been sensing unusual energy fluctuations around the campus perimeter. Someone's testing the barriers, looking for weaknesses." Kaneko nodded in confirmation. "Fallen angel energy. Strong ones. Kokabeel?" Issei asked, his dragon senses automatically extending outward, searching for threats. "Not yet," Tiamat replied. "But his subordinates, almost certainly. They're preparing for something. Should we evacuate the school? And go where? Running only delays the inevitable." Tiamat adjusted her glasses in a surprisingly teacher-like gesture. "No, better to face this on ground we've prepared. Rias is strengthening the barriers now, and I've contacted several allies who might assist if things escalate." "What about me? What should I do?" "For now, continue as normal. But be ready." She handed him a small blue stone on a leather cord. "Wear this. If you're in danger and I'm not nearby, crush it. It will temporarily weaken the seal on your powers and signal me immediately." Issei slipped the cord around his neck, tucking the stone beneath his shirt. It felt cool against his skin, pulsing slightly with draconic energy. "Just remember," Tiamat cautioned, "even with the seal partially lifted, your power will be volatile. Use it only in genuine emergency." The warning bell rang, signaling the end of lunch period. Ironically, Tiamat said with a small smile, "You should get to class. I believe you have literature next period." "This is so weird," Issei muttered, but headed toward the building. Literature class was surreal. Tiamat was surprisingly good at teaching, displaying genuine knowledge and passion for the subject. She conducted the class with professional detachment, treating Issei exactly like any other student. If not for the occasional flash of blue energy he could sense when her emotions ran high during literary analysis, he might have forgotten she was a dragon deity at all. The rest of the day passed uneventfully, though Issei remained on high alert, constantly scanning for threats. By final bell, he was mentally exhausted from the strain of maintaining both human normalcy and supernatural vigilance. He was gathering his things from his locker when Rias found him. "The Occult Research Club room has been repaired," she said. "We're meeting there to discuss strategy. Tiamat will join us after faculty meetings." Faculty meetings, Issei repeated with a snort. Is she really playing this teacher role to the hilt? Actually, yes. She's quite convincing. I think she's enjoying it. They walked together toward the old school building, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the campus. Most students had already departed, leaving the grounds quiet. Too quiet, Issei realized suddenly. His dragon senses tingled with warning. Something's wrong, he murmured, stopping mid-stride. It's too empty. Rias tensed beside him, crimson energy gathering at her fingertips. You're right. There should still be club activities, sports practices. A slow clapping sound echoed across the courtyard. From behind a tree stepped Kokobile, his elegant appearance unchanged from yesterday but his eyes gleaming with malicious purpose. Very observant, he commended. I've cleared the area of witnesses. Convenient memory spells, humans are so susceptible. Rias moved protectively in front of Issei. Whatever you're planning, Kokobile, reconsider. Lady Tiamat won't be pleased. Tiamat is currently occupied with a distraction on the other side of town. Kokobile smiled thinly. A little uprising among lesser yokai, nothing serious, but enough to keep her busy for the crucial minutes I need. Issei reached for the stone beneath his shirt, but Kokobile wagged a finger. I wouldn't activate that just yet. Not until you've heard my proposal. What proposal? Issei asked warily. I'm offering you a choice, young dragon god. Surrender willingly for study and containment, or watch as I reignite the Great War right here in this town. Rias scoffed. You don't have that kind of authority. Don't I? Kokobile snapped his fingers. The air rippled as a massive magic circle appeared overhead, spanning nearly the entire school grounds. From it descended dozens of fallen angels, each carrying what appeared to be stolen artifacts, glowing weapons, ancient scrolls, crystalline containers of swirling energy. Recognize these? Kokobile asked smugly. Artifacts from all three factions, Heaven, the Underworld, and Grigori. Each one powerful enough to be considered an act of war if used against another faction. You're insane, Rias breathed. The peace has held for centuries. You'd throw that away just to get to Issei. Peace. Kokobile spat the word. Stagnation, you mean? The fallen angels were meant for more than existing in shadows, playing politics with devils and taking orders from a pacifist like Azazel. His eyes fixed on Issei with burning intensity. The prophecy speaks of the Azure dragon god completing the Trinity, creating a new balance. I intend to ensure that balance favors the fallen. By killing me? Issei asked. By controlling you, Kokobile corrected. Your blood contains the essence of the Azure dragon god, partially awakened, malleable. With the right ritual, that essence can be harnessed, directed. Understanding dawned on Rias's face. That's what Azure blood flows free means to you. You want to drain his blood for a ritual. Precisely. Either willingly offered or forcibly taken. Kokobile generated a light spear, larger and more intricate than any he'd created before. Your choice, dragon god. Surrender and save this town, or resist and watch it become the battlefield for the Second Great War. Issei felt trapped. The stone against his chest seemed to burn with urgency, but if Tiamat was truly occupied elsewhere, would she arrive in time? And could he risk Kokobile carrying out his threat? Don't even consider it, Rias said fiercely. My brother and the other Satans would never allow. Your brother is dealing with his own crisis, Kokobile interrupted. A mysterious attack on underworld territories. How unfortunate that so many emergencies are happening simultaneously. His orchestration was impressive in its thoroughness. Kokobile had planned every detail, creating distractions for all who might interfere with his scheme. Issei's hand closed around the stone beneath his shirt, but he hesitated to crush it. If his powers went volatile without Tiamat's guidance, he might cause more harm than good. Time's up, Kokobile announced. What will it be? Before Issei could answer, a new voice cut through the tension. How about option 3? Kiba appeared beside them in a blur of speed, swords materializing in both hands. Behind him, the rest of Rias's peerage emerged from the old school building, Akino with lightning crackling between her fingers, Kaneko cracking her knuckles, Gasper with red eyes glowing. You think a handful of devil children can stop me? Kokobio laughed. I fought in the Great War. I survived battles against Seraphim and Satan-class devils. Then perhaps you prefer a more worthy opponent. The new voice came from above. Looking up, Issei saw a man with crimson hair hovering in the air, hair the same shade as Rias's, but with power that dwarfed anything Issei had felt from her. Surzex, Kokobio hissed, genuine alarm crossing his features. Impossible. You should be in the underworld dealing with an obvious diversion. Surzex Lucifer smiled coldly. I sent my troops to handle it while I investigated why someone would try so desperately to draw me away from my sister's territory. Imagine my surprise to find you here, Kokobio, on the verge of violating the peace treaty. More magical circles appeared in the sky, these bearing the crest of the Gremory family. From them emerged dozens of devil soldiers in ornate armor, surrounding the fallen angels Kokobio had gathered. But Kokobio wasn't finished. With a snarl of defiance, he hurled his light spear, not at Surzex or Rias, but directly at Issei. Time seemed to slow. Issei saw the spear approaching, knew he couldn't dodge in time. Instinctively, he crushed the stone Tiamat had given him, feeling it shatter between his fingers. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Blue energy exploded from within him as the seal partially collapsed. Scales erupted across his skin, his body growing taller, stronger in seconds. The transformation was faster and more complete than ever before, blue wings bursting from his back, a tail materializing. Kokobio's light spear struck his chest, and dissolved on impact, absorbed into Issei's draconic aura. Impossible, Kokobio gasped. The seal, it shouldn't break that easily. It didn't break, came Tiamat's voice as she materialized beside Issei, her own partial dragon form manifested. It released, precisely as designed. Did you think I wouldn't plan for emergencies? Issei stood in a state between human and dragon, larger than his normal self but smaller than a full dragon form, covered in azure scales that gleamed with internal light. Power coursed through him unlike anything he'd experienced before, raw and primal yet somehow more controlled than his previous outbursts. How does it feel? Tiamat asked him quietly. Like I'm finally breathing properly, Issei replied, his voice deeper, resonating with draconic undertones. Like I've been underwater all my life and just reached the surface. Good. This is what I wanted for you, gradual awakening, controlled transformation. She turned to Kokobio. Your plan failed before it began. My son is not some passive vessel to be drained and used. He is the Azure Dragon God, awakening on his own terms. Kokobio's confident demeanor cracked. With Surzex and his forces above, Rias and her peerage on one side, and two dragons in partial transformation before him, his position was untenable. This isn't over, he snarled, generating another light spear. The prophecy will be fulfilled one way or another. He hurled the spear, not at any person, but at one of the artifacts his followers had brought. It struck a crystalline container, shattering it. No! Surzex shouted, recognizing the danger too late. The released energy pulsed outward in a shockwave of holy power. Surzex and his devil forces threw up barriers, but the holy energy burned through them, forcing them to retreat. In the confusion, Kokobio launched into the air, gathering his fallen angel troops. Consider this a declaration, he shouted down. The old balance is ending. When the new one forms, the fallen will rule. With that, he and his forces vanished in a massive transportation circle, taking most of the artifacts with them. The released holy energy continued to spread, creating a dome of light that encompassed the entire school grounds. What is that? Issei asked, instinctively stepping in front of Rias to shield her from the holy energy that seemed to cause devils pain. A tesseract of divine judgment, Tiamat explained grimly. An ancient weapon from heaven's arsenal. Once activated, it creates a zone of purification that intensifies until it detonates. Detonates? Issei repeated. As in explodes. With enough force to level the entire town, Surzex confirmed, descending to join them despite the obvious discomfort the holy energy caused him. Kokabil has ensured that even in retreat, he leaves chaos behind. Can it be stopped? Rias asked, flinching as the holy energy pressed against her own demonic nature. Not by devils, Surzex said. The energy would destroy us before we could contain it. Angels could, Tiamat mused. But summoning them would take time we don't have. The tesseract will detonate within minutes. All eyes turned to Issei, standing tall in his partial dragon form, seemingly unaffected by the holy energy swirling around them. Dragons are neutral to holy and demonic energy, Tiamat explained, seeing his confusion. Particularly dragon gods. Understanding dawned on Issei. You want me to stop it? It must be contained and its energy dispersed safely, Surzex said. Only you and Tiamat are unaffected enough to approach it. I could attempt it, Tiamat said, but my chaos energy might react unpredictably with the divine power. Your Azure energy, however, is specifically attuned to balance and stabilization. The tesseract at the center of the courtyard pulsed brighter, the holy energy dome contracting slightly before expanding with greater intensity. The pressure increased, driving Rias and her peerage to their knees. What do I do? Issei asked, decision made. How do I stop it? You need to absorb and redistribute the energy, Tiamat instructed quickly. Like you did with Kokabil's light spear, but on a much larger scale. Draw it into yourself, balance it with your own power, then release it skyward where it can disperse harmlessly. I've barely figured out energy blasts, and now you want me to absorb a divine nuke. You can do this, Tiamat said firmly. The Azure power within you responds to necessity. Trust your instincts. With no time to argue, Issei approached the tesseract. The closer he got, the more he could feel its power, pure, overwhelming divine energy designed to eradicate anything deemed impure. Behind him, Rias called out, "Be careful." Reaching the crystalline remains of the container, Issei took a deep breath. The partially released seal allowed him to feel his dragon power more completely than ever before, a vast well of energy with currents and eddies, waiting to be directed. He placed both hands on the tesseract, feeling the holy energy try to judge him, only to find his dragon nature outside its jurisdiction. Following instinct, Issei began to draw the energy into himself, channeling it through his draconic core. The sensation was indescribable. Divine energy coursed through him like liquid light, burning yet somehow invigorating. His scales brightened, glowing from within as they absorbed more and more power. That's it, Tiamat encouraged from a safe distance. Now balance it with your own energy. Find the harmony between. Issei concentrated, visualizing the conflicting energies within him, his own blue dragon power and the white holy energy. Where they touched, they created something new, a shimmering azure light that felt both powerful and controlled. The tesseract dimmed as he drained it, the dome of holy energy shrinking. But as the last of it flowed into Issei, he realized he now faced a new problem. He was essentially a walking bomb, filled with more power than his partially awakened form could safely contain. I can't hold it much longer, he gasped, his voice distorted by the energy straining to escape. It needs to go somewhere. Up. Tiamat commanded. Direct it skyward. Issei tilted his head back, spreading his wings for stability. Drawing on everything he'd learned in their training sessions, he focused on channeling the combined energy upward through his core and out. A beam of brilliant azure light erupted from his mouth, shooting straight into the sky. The release was both painful and exhilarating, like the pressure of a lifetime suddenly finding outlet. The beam continued for nearly a minute, parting clouds and illuminating the entire town in blue light. When the last of the excess energy dispersed, Issei collapsed to his knees, exhausted but triumphant. His dragon form receded slowly, scales disappearing as he returned to human appearance. Tiamat reached him first, kneeling beside him with undisguised pride. "You did it. Perfect energy redistribution. That was amazing," Rias exclaimed, hurrying over now that the holy energy had dissipated. "Are you alright?" "Tired," Issei managed. "But okay. Did it work? Is the bomb thing gone?" "Completely neutralized," Surzex confirmed, approaching with a respectful nod to Tiamat. "You've saved countless lives today, young dragon god." "Issei," he corrected weakly. "Just call me Issei." Surzex smiled. "As you wish. But after today, I suspect few in the supernatural world will think of you as just anything." He was right. As Issei recovered his strength, reports began coming in through magical communications. The beam of azure light had been visible for hundreds of miles, impossible to hide from supernatural witnesses. Every faction now had confirmation, the azure dragon god was awakening, and he was powerful enough to neutralize an ancient divine weapon. Kokabil escaped, Kiba reported, returning from scouting the perimeter. But he left most of his followers behind. Surzex's forces have them contained. "And the stolen artifacts?" Rias asked. "Some were recovered, others he took with him." Surzex looked troubled. "Enough to cause significant problems if he chooses to use them." "He will," Tiamat predicted grimly. "Today was just the opening move. Kokabil wants war, and he's positioned himself to incite it." Issei listened to their tactical discussion, feeling strangely detached. The experience of channeling so much power, of finding balance between conflicting energies, had changed something fundamental within him. It was as if he'd glimpsed what he truly was, what he could become, and it was both terrifying and exhilarating. "The seal," he said suddenly, interrupting their conversation. "Is it still in place?" Tiamat studied him, her eyes seeing beyond physical appearance to the energy patterns within. "Partially. The stone's destruction temporarily weakened it, allowing about 30% of your full power to manifest. It's re-establishing now that the immediate danger has passed." "I want it removed," Issei said firmly. "Completely. Today proved I need full access to my abilities." "Today proved you're progressing well," Tiamat countered. "But complete removal would overwhelm you. The seal isn't just limiting your power, it's helping you integrate it gradually." "She's right," Surzex interjected. "I've seen what happens when beings access too much power too quickly. The results are rarely positive." Issei wanted to argue but found he lacked the energy. The day's events had drained him completely. "We should continue this discussion somewhere more private," Rias suggested, noting Issei's exhaustion. "And after Issei has rested." "Agreed," Tiamat said. "My home would be safest. It has protections even Kokabil couldn't breach." "Your home?" Issei repeated, realizing he had no idea where Tiamat actually lived when not playing teacher or watching over him. "You have a house?" Tiamat's lips quirked in amusement. "I have several properties around the world, but my primary residence in Japan is in the mountains outside the city. It's where I've been staying since your awakening began." Plans were made to meet there the following day. Surzex promised to handle the aftermath with the other factions, explaining away the light show as a supernatural anomaly. Rias and her peerage would strengthen school defenses further, now that it had become a clear target. As the group dispersed, Tiamat placed a hand on Issei's shoulder. "You did well today. Better than I expected." "Thanks." Despite his exhaustion, Issei felt a warm glow at her approval. It felt right, somehow. Like I was doing what I was meant to do. That's the Azure nature recognizing its purpose. Tiamat's expression softened. Balance through action. Just as Ophis said. Issei nodded, too tired for deeper philosophical discussions. Can I ask you something? Of course. That prophecy about the Azure blood flowing free, what does it really mean? Kokabeel thought it meant literally using my blood in a ritual, but that can't be right. Tiamat was silent for a moment, choosing her words carefully. Prophecies are deliberately cryptic, open to interpretation. My belief is that it refers to the full awakening of your power, your dragon blood expressing itself completely. And when will that happen? When you're ready. Tiamat helped him stand. Today was a significant step forward. The rest will come in time. As they walked toward home, the setting sun painted the sky in shades of orange and purple. Kuo Town continued its evening routines, its human inhabitants blissfully unaware of how close they'd come to destruction. Issei thought about the beam of azure light he'd released, pure, controlled power that had saved countless lives. For the first time since discovering his heritage, he felt a sense of purpose in his new identity. Perhaps being the Azure Dragon God wasn't just about power and prophecies. Perhaps it was about finding balance in a world constantly threatened by chaos. Tiamat's home was nothing like Issei had imagined. Expecting either a cave filled with treasure or an ultramodern fortress, he was surprised to find a traditional Japanese estate nestled in the mountains, surrounded by ancient cedar trees and flowing streams. This place is beautiful, he commented as they approached along a stone pathway. Cherry trees in full bloom framed the entrance, petals drifting gently in the morning breeze. I've always appreciated Japanese aesthetic sensibilities, Tiamat replied. Harmony with nature, balance between elements, it aligns well with draconic philosophy. The main house was expansive but tasteful, built in traditional style with modern amenities subtly integrated. Gardens surrounded it on all sides, carefully maintained to appear natural rather than manicured. How long have you had this place? Issei asked as they removed their shoes in the entryway. About 300 years, though I've renovated several times. Tiamat led him into a spacious main room with views of the surrounding mountains. It serves as my primary sanctuary in this region. Rias and her peerage arrived shortly after, followed by Surzex and a woman Issei didn't recognize, regal and beautiful, with silver hair and a formal kimono. Lady Tiamat, the woman greeted with a respectful bow. Thank you for hosting this gathering. Lady Graphia, Tiamat acknowledged. I trust you bring news. Indeed. Graphia turned to Surzex, deferring to him for the explanation. The factions are in uproar, Surzex began without preamble. Yesterday's display of power was impossible to conceal from supernatural witnesses. The Azure Dragon's energy signature was unmistakable. How are they responding? Rias asked. Predictably. Heaven has called an emergency conclave. The Underworld's Devil Council is debating whether to treat Issei as an asset or a threat. And the fallen angel leadership is in disarray. Azazel has officially denounced Kokabeel's actions, but rumors suggest many support his position. And the other pantheons? Tiamat inquired. Watching and waiting, for now. Though the Norse have expressed interest in meeting the new dragon god. Issei listened to this political summary with growing unease. So basically, I've become an international incident. More like a supernatural paradigm shift, Surzex corrected. The emergence of a new dragon god changes fundamental power dynamics that have been stable for millennia. Which is precisely what Kokabeel wanted, Aquino observed. Chaos and uncertainty. Indeed. Graphia produced a small crystal orb that projected images when she touched it. We've analyzed the artifacts Kokabeel stole. Most concerning is this, the Shroud of Raziel. The projection showed a shimmering cloth covered in intricate symbols. What does it do? Issei asked. It conceals divine essence, Tiamat explained, her expression grave. Angels use it during covert operations to hide their presence from other supernatural beings. Kokabeel could use it to mask his movements, Surzex continued. Making him virtually untraceable even to beings of our level. Great, Issei muttered. So he could be anywhere, planning anything. Not quite anywhere, Tiamat corrected. The shroud has limitations. And Kokabeel himself has a particular magical signature that certain tracking methods can still detect. Which brings us to our current strategy, Surzek said. We're establishing a joint task force to locate and contain Kokabeel before he can initiate further provocations. And where do I fit into this strategy? Issei asked. For now, you continue your training, Tiamat answered. Yesterday proved you can access significant power when necessary, but your control still needs refinement. I'd like Issei to join us at the peace conference, Ria suggested, surprising everyone. Peace conference? Issei repeated. The faction leaders are gathering to discuss Kokabeel's actions and potential responses, Surzek explained. My sister raises an interesting point. Having you there would allow all parties to assess your intentions directly, rather than through rumors and speculation. It would also put a target on his back, Tiamat countered. Gathering all major faction leaders in one place with a developing dragon god. The security implications are staggering. Which is precisely why it would work, Grafia interjected smoothly. The combined protective measures would make it one of the safest places for Issei to be. And it would demonstrate his willingness to engage diplomatically rather than assert dominance. Tiamat considered this, her tail, which had manifested without her seeming to notice, swishing thoughtfully behind her. There is merit to the idea, she admitted reluctantly. Particularly if I attend as well, as both his mother and representative of draconic interests. So I'd basically be doing a supernatural press conference? Issei asked, not entirely comfortable with the concept. Hi everyone, I'm the new dragon god, please don't try to kill me. Ria smiled. More or less. But your presence alone would speak volumes. It would show you're not hiding, not plotting, not following Mizuchi's path. When would this conference happen? 3 days from now, Surzek replied. At a neutral location secured by all factions jointly. Issei looked to Tiamat. What do you think? Should I go? She studied him for a long moment. If we're going to establish you as different from Mizuchi, as a dragon god who seeks balance through cooperation rather than destruction, then yes, you should attend. But not without significant preparation. The discussion continued for hours, planning security measures, discussing diplomatic approaches, and strategizing responses to various potential scenarios. Throughout it all, Issei felt strangely calm. The partial awakening yesterday had shifted something within him, as if he'd found a deeper connection to his dragon nature that brought clarity rather than confusion. As the meeting wound down and their guests prepared to leave, a sudden commotion outside caught everyone's attention. The house wards flared, signaling an intruder. Tiamat was on her feet instantly, scales rippling across her skin. Something's breached the outer perimeter. Everyone tensed for battle, magic gathering as they moved toward the source of the disturbance. Outside, they found a silver-haired figure standing calmly in the garden, examining a flowering bush with casual interest. Valley, Surzek identified, though he didn't lower his guard. Uninvited as usual. The wards were an interesting challenge, Valley commented, turning to face them. Dragon-based but with devil modifications. Creative. State your purpose, Tiamat demanded, before I remove you forcibly. Information exchange, Valley replied smoothly. I know where Kokabeel is hiding, and what he's planning next. This got everyone's attention. Why would you share that with us? Rias asked suspiciously. Because his plan directly threatens my future fight with Issei. Valley's gaze fixed on Issei with that same predatory interest from before. You've grown stronger since yesterday. The seals weakened further. How can you tell? Issei asked, surprised. Divine dividing responds to draconic energy. Yours is becoming interesting. He approached, ignoring the warning growl from Tiamat. Show me your partial transformation again. I want to measure it against my balance breaker. This isn't a power comparison exhibition, Tiamat snapped. You mentioned information about Kokabeel. Valley shrugged, clearly disappointed but willing to proceed. He's gathering followers at an abandoned cathedral near the border between Devil and Fallen Angel territories. Using the artifacts he stole to construct what he calls an Ascension Engine. Ascension Engine? Grafia repeated. I've never heard of such a device. Because he's creating it from scratch, combining technologies and magics from multiple factions. Its purpose, from what my sources have gathered, is to force the completion of the prophecy. By spilling my blood, Issei guessed. Not just spilling it, Valley corrected. Replacing it. The machine is designed to drain your dragon essence completely and transfer it to a more suitable vessel. Himself, Surzex concluded grimly. Kokabeel intends to make himself the Azure dragon god. That's impossible, Tiamat declared. Dragon god essence is tied to soul and lineage. It can't simply be transferred like battery power. Perhaps not under normal circumstances, Valley agreed. But using these artifacts, Kokabeel believes he's found a way. And he's accelerating his timeline. After yesterday's display of Issei's power, he's convinced the full awakening is imminent. How soon will his device be operational? Rias asked. 3 days. Maybe 4. The timing couldn't be worse, coinciding exactly with the peace conference. It's a trap, Kiba realized. The peace conference draws all major leaders away from their territories, leaving Issei potentially vulnerable if he doesn't attend, or delivering him directly if he does. Either Kokabeel has informants within our organizations, or he's predicted our most likely responses, Surzex mused. Why tell us this? Tiamat asked Valley directly. What's your stake in Kokabeel's plans? Valley smiled coldly. I told you before, I want Issei at full power when we eventually fight. Kokabeel's plan would waste that potential on an unworthy vessel. Besides, he added with casual disdain, fallen angel leadership doesn't interest me. I have other affiliations. Something about the way he said it raised warning flags in Issei's mind. You're with the Cows Brigade, aren't you? The terrorist group Ophis mentioned. Valley's smile widened slightly, neither confirming nor denying, but his silence was telling. I thought so, Issei continued. You're playing both sides. Watching to see which way the balance tips. Smart dragon, Valley acknowledged. Though not quite accurate. I play my own side, always. Right now, that means ensuring Kokabeel doesn't succeed. And tomorrow? Tiamat challenged. Tomorrow's agenda depends on many factors, Valley replied cryptically. Including how interesting Issei becomes. Without waiting for further questions, Valley activated a transportation circle and disappeared, leaving them with crucial information and deeper concerns. Can we trust what he told us? Rias asked into the ensuing silence. About Kokabeel's location and plans? Probably, Surzex answered. About his own motivations? Absolutely not. Agreed, Tiamat said. Valley Lucifer plays a long game we can only guess at. But his information gives us options we didn't have before. We need to adjust our strategy, Grafia stated practically. If Kokabeel's device will be operational around the time of the peace conference, we face a dilemma. Issei had been thinking about this very problem. We need to split up, he said, drawing everyone's attention. Some of us attend the conference as planned, maintaining the appearance that everything's proceeding normally. Others investigate this cathedral and destroy the Ascension engine before Kokabeel can use it. A two-pronged approach, Surzex nodded approvingly. But who goes where? I should be part of the team that confronts Kokabeel, Issei said firmly. He's after me specifically, so my presence would draw him out. That's precisely why you should attend the conference instead, Tiamat countered. Let Kokabeel come to you in a location where every faction leader and their guards are present. The combined defensive force would be overwhelming. Unless that's exactly what he wants, Rias suggested. A confrontation that forces faction leaders to take sides, potentially igniting the very conflict he's trying to create. The strategic debate continued well into the evening. By its conclusion, they had formulated a plan that balanced risk and opportunity. Issei would attend the peace conference with Rias, Surzex, and a portion of Tiamat's power, transferred into a proxy form, while Tiamat herself would lead a strike team including Aquino, Kiba, and Kaneko to infiltrate the cathedral and destroy Kokabil's device. As the others departed to make preparations, Tiamat led Issei deeper into the estate, to a garden courtyard centered around a small pond. Moonlight reflected off the water's surface, creating a peaceful atmosphere despite the dangers they faced. "We have 2 days before the conference," she said. "During that time, I need to prepare you for what's coming." "More training?" Issei asked, though he knew the answer. "Not just physical." Something went wrong with this response, please try again. Write the next chapter here. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.